joining the session, and I wish all of you are safe and sound, especially during this pandemic. We've had multiple sessions on Monday, and we are on Wednesday session. Last session of the day today. Just to give you a brief input about brief details about Mind Matters Week. This is an initiative by NHRDN along with White Swan Foundation to bring in more importance and to ensure that people are aware about mental well-being amongst in the corporate and at the personal level as well. So this is our small initiative which we feel would enable people to be sensitive to various factors of mental health and well-being. Today we are amongst our esteemed panelists. Before I talk about the panelists, I would like to introduce our moderator, Dr. Rajeshwari Narendran. Dr. Rajeshwari Narendran is a PhD in management and MBA. She works for Andrew Toll School Scholar, Harvard Business School, Boston, and she has the distinction of being the first ever woman and youngest national president of Indian Society for Training and Development, New Delhi. She is head and professor of HR and OB, director of MHRM, ML Sukhadia University, Udaipur. She is also a visiting professor to IIM Udaipur, IIM Ahmedabad, and other places. She has delivered invited lectures at Harvard Business School as well. Dr. Rajeshwari is a popular trainer and HRD consultant. She's trained close to more than 58,500 plus aspirants in India and abroad. She's been on the board of International Federation for Training and Development. Also served as a member for Developing Countries Concerned Committee IFTDO, representing in UNO. She's working for development of women in leadership and diversity policies at a global level. She was awarded by Women Economic Forum as a Forum Global as Exceptional Leader Excellence at IIMK on 23rd August 2019. Welcome, Rajeshwari. As part of the panelists, we have Siddharth Srinath, HR Business Manager, Infosys Limited. Siddharth currently plays the role of HR Business Manager at Infosys, anchoring wellness program, HALE, apart from the other HR function. His career as a human resource professional spans across multiple aspects of talent management, which includes recruitment, employee relation, business partnering, health and wellness, OD, and employee grievance management. Focused on driving business outcome and collaboration, he has developed expertise in key HR areas and has learned best-in-class HR practices and processes. Having begun his career in HR function of Infosys, an organization with 240,000 plus individuals that has been rated best employer over multiple years. Over the years, Siddharth has contributed to various employee engagement initiatives focused on creating new company-level programs and leading efforts towards the company flagship health and wellness program. In his current role, other than leading the wellness program, Siddharth is also responsible for managing business partner activities for entire support function organization at Infi. He has received numerous recognition internally, and his initiatives have won recognition externally as well. Welcome, Siddharth. Next, the person I would like to introduce is Sangeeta Chandran. Sangeeta is Global Head of TCS Cares, the Mental Health and Wellbeing Program at Tata Consultancy Services. She is a certified integrative therapy counselor, founder of Dandelius Talk, an initiative to promote mental and emotional health awareness and support. She is also a student pilot, a car rally enthusiast, a blogger, a movie reviewer. She walks her dogs and does yoga and meditation to keep herself fit and agile. Her favorite quote is, "If you are looking for that one person who has the power to change your life, look in the mirror." Welcome, Sangeeta. We also have Kalpana. Kalpana is head of HR and IR for Madura Clothing, the manufacturing arm of Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail. She spent 7 years with the group and has a rich experience of over 28 years in garment industry. Like K. Mohandas Export, Gokuldas Images, Digital Equipments, etc. She holds a master degree in industrial psychology and has graduated in journalism and literature and, and psychology. So I welcome all of you to this session. Thank you so much on behalf of NHRD and all of this presentation. Over to you, Dr. Rajeshwari, for this session.
Good evening, everyone. This is such a beautiful, start of the program when we speak about Mind Matters. Definitely, on 10th of October, when the world celebrates the Mental Health Day, what a way to, create awareness, ask, share, and listen. Definitely, this is a really welcome gesture through National HRD Network and Whitespan. We are hosting this beautiful program, and I have such galaxy of wonderful speakers who represent, nothing less than Infosys, TCS, and Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail. I welcome all the panelists, and I must say that it is not to be surprised that here these are all the organizations empaneled with Arogya World Healthy Work Practices. Arogya World is a global, health not-for-profit organization which is committed to the cause of 360-degree wellness, and it is also creating a lot of awareness and prevention of non-communicable diseases, or what we call very easily is lifestyle diseases. So it's I would like to just have a very quick recall that it's not about pandemic has created sudden spurt in the activities around wellness, but the three organizations which we are represented today, they have been working in this wonderful field of activity of taking care of the employee well-being. It has been a practice as a policy, and I definitely feel that it is so important that how what kind of best practices they have around the mental well-being, or around the entire concept of wellness. So if I may start with Siddharth is there from Infosys, and I would like Siddharth, if you can please share your part of the story, because I believe there must be something very, very interesting takeaway from you.
Thank you, Dr. Rajeshwari. Hi all, and it's a pleasure to be here this evening. I think a very important juncture as we together try and face this pandemic and deal in a virtual world. So yeah, I agree with what Dr. Rajeshwari said, and it's not a journey that most of us started just because the pandemic was around. Personally, for us, I think at Infosys we started this journey close to 2 decades ago, and we have a robust wellness program in place, which we call as HALE, HALE. 4 broad pillars. I don't know if we can have that slide up, Guru, in parallel so that people can view it, but broadly focusing on physical well-being, emotional well-being, social wellness, which is around communities and creating groups of employees who can take care of each other, and obviously the last one, which is around psychological safety, which is again an important aspect at the workplace. Having said this, I think we also have focused on ensuring that there are 3 parts to how we approach it. There's a broader macro environment around which I think the organization would like to create various alliances, policies, the frameworks and stuff, which is broadly at an org level. The second level is more intimate to an employee, which is the managers and the teams in which we interact with on a daily basis. That's more the micro environment. And the last but not the least is the individual himself or herself. So that's the self-service model that we typically talk about, where we do a lot of enablement, creating a lot of self-help tools, chatbots, and the continuous communication, which employees can consume on their own. And this we operate on broad principles of hyper-personalization, ensuring that we reach the last individual, creating a lot of community-based approach. Obviously, digital. Being a tech company, I think it's something that comes more naturally to us. And of course, knowing clearly that we are not really the experts in this field, and hence that we tap into all the alliances. It could be Arogya World, it could be any other, it could be NHRD itself, which is doing a brilliant job in this week. So the alliances that we have with various partners in the ecosystem, I think that is what we have done around the wellness space over the last 2 decades, and tried to make this as part of everyday life of an employee as we execute.
That's phenomenal, Siddharth. 2 decades. The organizations now, they are waking up to this call that you have to be careful, and this is really phenomenal. I'm so thankful to the organization that you are working in this space, and Hail is a beautiful idea. Superb. If I may, Sangeeta has been into this beautiful world of psychology, behavior, therapy, and I love to see her speaking. She has a lot of spark in her, and definitely, Sangeeta, you must have a beautiful story to tell about TCS, how they are taking care, because I know it is also not new for you to have these awareness around the wellness programs.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajeshwari, and thank you for those kind words. And, just as Siddharth was saying, I think there is a lot of echo of what TCS does as well in this space. And just like you were saying, I think, these are organizations, whether it is TCS, whether it's Infi, or some of the other organizations of best practices, we didn't start this today, right? So we are not, we don't wait to start good practices at the time of crisis. So exactly same thing for us, that we've had our programs in place for years and years, but what has been different is that we have evaluated and reevaluated the different needs. So for example, where TCS Cares is concerned, and since we're talking specifically about mental health today, we had our EAP service in place for almost 15 years now, and we were probably one of the first in the industry to also empanel a formal EAP service for our people. But at that time, the EAP service was available and it was there for the people. But as years have grown, in the last 3 or 4 years, we realized that mental health is something which worldwide is becoming a very deep focus area, and we really need to create a program very specifically around this. So while, just like Siddharth was saying, we have a focus on Fit for Life, which is our physical health program. We have Purpose for Life, which is our, program for giving back to society and, in community. We have Maitri for social collaborations and social clubs. We have Safety First, which is, takes care of our safety. And we have TCS Cares, which actually takes care of very specifically emotional and mental health and, concerns like that. So it is, it's very beautiful because there's so much commitment from an organization to put efforts and huge teams around these things. These are not teams which are, front-ending to customer and making any money, but they're, the investments are, I think, well worth it, because they really contribute to the well-being of our people. They really ensure that, ultimately it is about productivity, right? And that does happen. While we may not have our, eye directly on that, but that does happen. And so definitely, I think it is important to say that, whether it is TCS Cares or whether it is something like Hail that Siddharth talked about, these are programs which are investments into our people and ultimately investments into the business.
Sangeeta, beautiful. I really salute to this organization where you have care about what you are doing, and it is not about only the mental or physical well-being. It is a social well-being. It is a financial well-being. Maybe sometimes it is the spiritual well-being, and every part of it is it brings closer to our core. It is so important. So beautifully shared, Sangeeta. Thank you for that. And we have, Kalpana from Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail. Definitely, she comes from a very, very noble cause. She is doing something very, very inclusive. We had a pre-chat before this session, and I came to know wonderful stories, which, she is, how inclusive they are into their retail and fashion industry. But definitely, Kalpana, I'm looking forward to hear from you the golden words, that how are you taking care of all these things, even much before the pandemic, how you started.
Thank you, Dr. Rajeshwari, for the kind words, and I would also try to acknowledge both Sangeeta and Siddharth for the wonderful things that they're doing. Our challenges are really very different. I hope I can have my PPT on the screen, Mr. Guru Prasad. Otherwise, I can just start off.
Yeah,
Let me
start
just
off. I'll
introduce.
just put it up.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'll just introduce who we are. And this is the Aditya Birla Group company. We are a manufacturing of fashion wear. And we have about 10 factories, 7,400 machines, 13,000 employees, of which 85% of them are women. Our women workforce, this is very labor intensive, volatile population, because women come from various age, get married, they have their own life cycle concerns. So we have a lot of issues on account of their absenteeism, attrition. It's a floating migrated population, a majority below poverty line, poor education standards. I would just like to add here, the women are predominantly the breadwinners of the family. 2 hands to earn and several mouths to feed. This is the social economic status of the worker. And if there's a problem in putting it up, it's okay. I can continue. Hello.
Yeah, Guru Prasad, can you just address the screen share for Kalpana ji?
It's coming up, Kalpana ji. Just a moment.
It's okay. Yeah.
Let me continue. Yeah.
So this is just a brief profile of our workers. They're not so very well educated. So we just want to introduce our worker. We always nickname her as Kaveri. She comes from rural background, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh. We get people from across borders. We cover almost 150 villages. They speak about, right now, they speak about 6 languages. We are including Orissa and Jharkhand also. 65% are below matriculation. Age is around 29 years. Can we move on to the next slide? And employee wellness is not a new thing for us. Although as per Factories Act, we started, next slide please. We started it as a physical wellness under the initiative called, one slide before that, called Sanjeevani. We named it as Sanjeevani, and under Sanjeevani, we have different wheels. Would you, yeah, okay. So we have different categories of employees. We have people at the stores who are selling our products. We have factory people who are working on the manufacturing floor. We have contract workers who are at the warehouses, and we have the factory workers who are stitching the garments. So this is a different kind of mix. We have educated engineers, we are not educated, we have loading, unloading. So this started probably 2 decades ago as a statutory compliance for physical wellness. If you can see the wheel, then we moved on to environmental. Then we became intellectual, where we said we have to have contributory, competitive reward and recognition for employees. Mental wellness is not a new subject to us, although it is done under emotional and mental wellness. We had a lot of employee grievance, women, having been harassed at home. So we created a cell and we were dealing with it both socially as well as mentally, helping them. We have preventive care now, which has come in between. We were going towards spiritual, but in between the COVID care came, where we have to do a lot of healthcare at home, healthcare at factory, because it's a labor intensive. Any small factory, if you say, we will have minimum 500 workers. So maintaining social distance, ensuring they sanitize, yet ensure people are healthy was a challenge. Sorry? Hello?
So I think somebody, everyone has to, I request everyone to kindly mute and let only the speakers be there, please. Kalpana ji may continue.
Yeah. So under COVID assistance, we have made a lot of initiatives where we have digital consultation of doctor. COVID testings are done about at the factory level. We call mass testing by the BPMP. We are the first ones to dare to mass testing. The moment we get positive cases, nowadays we are getting a lot of asymptomatic cases. We have a challenge of production efficiency. Still we dare to do it. We have ambulance support in-house. We've also taken as a best practice hospital, we have booked some beds and paying for that, because we do not want our patients to lose their time on account of not getting the hospital bed. So we have booked some beds in the hospital and reserved for our people. Post COVID care, there are some mental issues we found. So we have counselors and mental wellness consultants who are assisting them. If anybody gets hospitalized, apart from the ESI, we also fund them to meet their expenses. We take them to the best hospitals. And then we have more voluntary insurance coverage also. What else are we doing in the COVID? The whole system changed. Our machinery used to be, we work in a relay system for a product to be manufactured. The distance would be about 1 meter. Now we have to keep it 2 meters away, far away. We have problem of, passing it on because we stitch in parts, but we still have maintained that. So you can see in the pictures right from the transport, where every bus would be with 30-seater would be completely 30-seater. Now we have got 15-seater. It's again a cost to include an additional bus over there. Then washing their hands. Canteen, we have tables which have partition so that workers can eat, yet they don't have the contact. The partitions are built very well. Then we have no touch point toilet and water, drinking water or sanitization, all being peddled with leg. So this is some of the measures we have taken for COVID care. We have doctors, in-house medical officers. Apart from this, what else we do? We do a lot of training programs, engagements, gamified engagements, quarantine quizzes we are doing on care services that we have. We've got something called WhatsApp Madura. We tell them what we are doing. Team talking. That means each team talks about what their profession is so that others understand. We have something called Sangeet Wednesday where we play a tune and people come back. COVID warriors, we call people who do good job. We acknowledge them. People who come cured, we call them Madhura Yodhura, and we applaud their coming back. Virtual town halls are also done. So these are some of the best practices, what in a nutshell we have done. We would just like to add over here that we are not the revenue earners. We are the manufacturing arm for our brands. So we are paid only the tailoring charges. With this, we have to manage all of these, which was possible in, where we have huge order quantities. When there is a financial crunch, we still managed all of this with the help and the loyalty of the workers and of course the leadership.
Yeah, Kalpana ji, thank you so much. That wheel is very interesting phenomena. And I also see, life changed when the pandemic happened. Everybody started looking towards minimalist living. And the way you said that minimalist manufacturing, how you are taking care with very less, you are trying to produce more and you are trying to do best at your own front. So wonderful. Now, I would like to say that in the COVID management scenario, I was one of the counselors for the Rajasthan government, and off late then Maharashtra, Karnataka, Orissa, everywhere, the demand started coming in. And, in the span of about 4 to 5 months of pandemic, my entire team covered more than 65,000 people who were needing somewhere or the other the mental counseling, or they were scared or their fear were there, and we were doing a lot. And still I think our team is working a lot in the background. And it surprises that how many lives are being affected. So here I really would like Sangeeta to enlighten us that how you are as a leader giving the emotional support to the employees who are working from home, or those who are having actually multiple things to handle at a time. So if you would please enlighten us, Sangeeta.
Sure, Dr. Rajeshwari. So, I think, that TCS is like almost 4 lakh people. We are like a country, right? Sometimes when we are doing inductions, we tell our people that, listen, you have to understand that we are bigger than some small countries in terms of numbers, right? So exactly in the same way, just like a country, we are equally complex in terms of our demographic, in terms of our segments, and the need to provide care in a way that is pertinent to a particular segment is very, very important. So, we have various programs. It could be universal for everybody. Of course, everything that has been set till now all applies to all of us. I think, these have become standards in any best practice in any of the good organizations. So, but in addition to that, what we do is that we really make sure that, the segments are looked at with depth. So, for example, if we are looking at people who live alone, there is a special program where we have a HR buddy who actually calls up those people on a periodic basis to make sure that they are feeling all right. That is one example. For women, for example, we have special programs to talk to them about simple life hacks on what they can do to, sort of survive this COVID time, and how to, keep children engaged or any of those things. We are doing work with people who are caring for the elderly, because, now there are lots of us who actually are at an age where we have to now take care of the elderly, right? So how do we do that? How can we form small clubs of the elderly together, where people can share what are the things that they're doing, share resources, where are the various clubs, what are the interest groups, so that they can themselves begin to share those things with each other and do that. And of course, then there is the other cut of associates and managers and leadership, because it is very important to remember that most of the time we forget that leaders also need help and support. And and most of the time they're not willing to come forward to take that support also, because they believe that they are the stalwarts and they have to manage everything, and how can they be seen to be weak or needing help, right? So how do we impress upon them that you are also human being, guys, and you can be vulnerable, and vulnerable leadership is actually extremely rewarding, and a lot of trust is built in that, especially in times like this. So in addition to doing training programs and all, we have internal channels called the One TCS channel, Radio Maitri. So these are like a TV channel and a radio channel internally, and we invite various kinds of eminent people to talk to our people about various concepts of life, whether it is a cricketer who is coming, or whether it is a psychiatrist who's a celebrity who's coming, or a chef, or somebody who comes and shares their perspective of life and helps people. And so those are different ways in which people can actually relieve their burden as well, and learn things as well. Another thing which we are doing is that we've realized that everything we look at is in a holistic way, and yoga is one thing which we have realized is an extremely powerful, miraculous thing. And I think everything has a tipping point, so honestly I have to tell you, our yoga teams internally, we actually have teams internally who teach yoga, so these are people who have day jobs, but they're so passionate there that they found councils. They are actually certified in yoga. They're doing various kinds of research and getting PhDs in yoga and things like that. So they actually take sessions for us, and it is so interesting to see how yoga contributes to not just physical health but mental health. You contributes to your spirituality, your meditation, your peace, your well-being, and everything. So there are sort of hues of various things that get done within the organization, and so that is how we sort of play with various elements to make sure that everybody gets something that is right for them.
Superb, Sangeeta. As usual, it is so nice to hear from you, what all you're doing. And it was really interesting to know, you are a kind of a small country. So I will come back to the vulnerability to the leaders maybe a little later. But let me get over to Siddharth once again, because I know the expanse of Infosys is known less. It is again a huge organization, and they also have a huge, policy backup for so many things. So Siddharth, during pandemic, the huge disruption happened, and everybody was, taken by a shock. So how did you as leader or your leadership team took care of the emotional support to be rendered to your employees?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rajeshwari. I can just add maybe a slightly smaller country than what Sangeeta is part of, but yeah, yet a large country by itself, close to 200.
Maybe geographical locations very high.
Yeah, extremely. I think we are today. We have people across close to 40 plus different countries, 90 plus different nationalities. So I think the biggest challenge when the pandemic came up was the fact that that many of us didn't know how to handle it. I mean, it's not something that we had a precedent for. I think the only precedent most people cited is the 1920 Spanish flu, which is 100 years ago. So
100 years.
So I don't think anybody of us could say that we were experts in handling this. And so does that include the company's leadership. I think, but one big thing that stood out for us, and with which in fact employees also have repeatedly called out over the last 8 to 9 months, has been the communication. I think it was very, very open, very direct, and in fact over communicating. I think that is something that we believed worked for us. Um, uh, and it was important to tell employees what we were seeing, what we were reading, reacting at times, but also eventually started proactively handling stuff. I know I'm probably speaking on behalf of a lot of IT organizations here, but today we have over 97% of our workforce enabled to work from home. Unprecedented. I think many organizations, this is just fast forwarded a lot of things that we would have anticipated to happen over possibly the next 5 to 10 years. But I think it just happened in a matter of few weeks. The second was, I think I'm just echoing again what Sangeeta was saying, was the segmented offering. I think it was important to reach out to different target segments, not assume that a one size fits all approach would work. And that's what I think the leadership was very, very careful about, allowing people the flexibility, enabling policies, creating those frameworks, assuring employees that we are there for them. It could be as simple as policies on broadband to ensuring that they get the required support on work from home, or be it in terms of various tie-ups with hospitals, and we in fact have tie-ups with hotels now, to say that if you want to quarantine, we have a hotel tie-up, and then a hospital will come and treat you there, because the beds were becoming a challenge. The last but not the least, I mean, because of the geographic spread, we also had to abide by the local country-wise laws. That was something which was important. And every country had a different law, a different stage of the pandemic that they were in. And it was important that the communication to that set of employees in that region was specific to what was happening in the country as well. So again, I think the country, the size of a country in an organization does matter. So that's something that we did. I'll just want to end. I think any change or any pandemic, for that matter, I think goes through the standard 4 phases. I think there is first the entire shock and denial, and then this can't happen to me. And I think but we quickly were able to get over it, because we had already seen this impacting our China operations. And in fact, even as we were figuring out ways to shut down at various other places and move employees to work from home, we had our China operations back in office. So we already had that experience to play on with. So that was the shock and denial, the first part. And then there was that anger and fear as to how this will impact our business. What does it mean to our people? Then there was that gradual acceptance, and then obviously then you start figuring out how to handle it. So I think we went through that 4 phase, but I think today we are far better equipped. We are in fact now planning of the next year, of when a vaccine is in place, how will things work out, who are the people who should get it first, how do we plan our travel back to our client locations. I think we are already looking forward in that sense.
That's very proactive, Siddharth. Very, very proactive. Thinking forward, and taking care of how you're going to handle that. And yes, it came like a shock to many, and many business organizations actually shut. We are not talking about the huge business houses, but most of the SMEs, most of the small business, the vendors, they all had to stop. But here, what I see that like Aditya Birla Retail and Fashion, if I talk about, they saw an opportunity in the disruption. And I just give an example here, that a tailoring unit which was having 20, rural and tribal women, what they have done, they immediately sense that there is a need, like our tailoring needs are going now down. So what should we do? So they started learning stitching the PPE kits and masks, and they quickly, switched over. This is how, the beauty of the organization, that how quick and agile you are to adopt to the new practices. So I'm sure, Kalpana ji, you must have something like this to share. If you can have a quick share, because then I'll come back to the leadership vulnerability question, which is very important to deal here. Kalpana ji, are you there? Kalpana?
One moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're able to hear me, I guess. Hello?
Yeah, we are able to hear you.
Yeah, we are able to hear.
Okay, because I'm not able to see myself in the screen. Well, this pandemic created a lot of hollowness initially, but I am very proud to say that even during lockdown, we found an opportunity to survive. We started making masks, and we are the one of the leading players in mask making, and we are on the top of it. And we also created our opportunity to make the coverall, that safety uniforms for the doctors, which was something new which we had not done. We never had a machinery. We made a lot of kaizens to create machineries, and we were able to get the product out, and therefore we survived even during lockdown without closure of factories, and we had obtained a special permission to run. Challenge was to get employees. Villagers were not letting them. They were, if you go there, they would even sanitize us. They were very clear on what they were saying, but we assured them that we take very preventive care. So we started working on these products, and suddenly our demands from customers also changed from formal wear. We were known for formal shirts, trousers, jackets, and suits. Women's wear also formal, but we had to change to casual wear, and that was something which was denims, casual wear. Product machinery, skilling employees was also a task. But our leaders took it as a challenge. Strategically, they started working on that. And I'm proud to say that we've started recruiting from this month, which is a very positive sign for us. But during pandemic, when we were actually running short of money, we also came up with a bilateral agreement of 4-day work week, which every employee agreed and signed, where they work for 4 days and get paid for 4 days a week instead of 6 days a week. And whenever there were 6 days, we would pay them, legally worded, bilaterally signed, and submitted to the Labor Department. And this is how both cost and new product range were introduced, and we managed the situation.
Thank you, Kalpana ji. Wonderful. This is how we learn to cope up when something happens like this big. So here, I would like to open a question to all three of you. Maybe I'll start with Siddharth again. That, I see the leaders who are handling, you have a lot of expectation from the stakeholders, from the organization, your super bosses. There is a expectation from your clientele, you are like a wick which is burning from both the sides. Why? Because it is the leaders are also vulnerable. You cannot.
Rajeshwari, you're on mute.
Yeah. So are you like, people are using you like a punch bag, like anybody can come and punch their tensions over you, and it becomes so vulnerable. So I think two things I'm talking. One, what is the leadership vulnerability and how you as a leader are coping. Also, this is one more important thing, there is a lot of stigma around the mental health, mental well-being, and people do not want to accept, even they don't want to tell to their closest family members that I'm taking a counseling or I need a counseling. So both the questions, if you can take together, it would be so, we'll save some time. So maybe Siddharth and then Sangeeta and then Kalpana. Automatically, let us do a seamless one after the other.
Sure, Dr. Rajeshwari. I think I'll go with the second question first. I think stigma around mental health is something that we have learned to understand and accept. I think, and this has been here not today. It's been there for a while. It has reduced considerably, given there is so much of media attention now around this. There is so much of focus. There's so much there's so much out there, and people know about it. And yet, I think the support around this for individuals is lacking in many cases. I think one thing that has worked for us over a period of time, and this is actually something very interesting, which many of us do. I think the moment we fall ill, the first thing we refer to is a doctor online, which is called Google, right? And a lot of us tend to quickly search up the ailment and then go on. What we thought was we will leverage the same concept and get people to access the right thing, the right information. And then that's where what started off as self-help tools, creating formats which people could refer to, worked for us. And it's about a year now that we have gone digital on this. We have tried to provide these tools online on a mobile app so that people can refer to use it at the time of they need. So these could be tools around stress, tools around resilience. We had a sleep tool that we built. So there are various tools that people can use and just kind of do a self check. And these are tools that are certified by our expert counselors. The advantage thereby being that the person gets the right response, and then they know automatically on their own to on the next steps as well. So if they're doing well, it just says, okay, continue. But if they're not doing well, it kind of connects them to the counselor on call, which ensures that the identity of the individual is protected, and
Protected.
the
Yes,
individual gets that. Yeah, that's important because the organization should not get to know about who this individual is,
yes.
and yet the individual gets the right information or the right guidance on the next steps of what they need to do. One other program I think that has worked very well for us is the peer-to-peer counseling. This is something again that we started sometime in 2011. We call it the Samaritans Group, where we have Infoscions, employees trained on barefoot counseling techniques. And that's again a great concept because a lot of times I'm hesitant to approach a counselor who's still a third party, who's somebody unknown. But approaching a fellow Infoscion is still something which is far more easier. And yet, knowing fully well that this has no bearing on my work because this is not in my reporting hierarchy, this is not an HR person, and this is actually somebody from a part of business that I can relate to. And we have seen a strong acceptance for that as well. I think so. These two things have worked very well for us over a period of time to remove the stigma attached around adoption of support and care. Coming to the leadership part very quickly, I think we need to accept that leaders are also humans, and that's something that each one of us we do faster the better for us. But yes, what worked for us is I think we saw a collective leadership. We saw all leaders coming together and pitching in. There were councils formed. It wasn't, the burden didn't fall on any one particular leader to take decisions. The business leaders, HR leaders, all of them came together, and over the last 7 to 8 months, we've seen a lot of cohesive leadership come together, which helped us take decisions, making decision making more smoother and faster, and also more importantly, acting as sounding boards for each other. I think that's something that has worked for us over a period of time. Of course, I mean there are their internal challenges, their own challenges as individuals, and do run segmented offerings for them, which takes care of their own health and well-being as well, which is very, very important as they guide the organization further.
Super. Sangeeta?
Siddharth, yeah, wonderful. And I'm so glad that, great minds think alike, because everything that he has just talked about, of course, the same things go for TCS. These are best practices across the industry. In fact, I wish that, we had ways in which we could all collaborate and share resources, which would make it so much richer, So exactly, we have our bot, it's a CBT based bot, which guides people about, their state of mind and helps them to reach the right resources. And our peer counseling program, just like Siddharth was saying, very strong. And in this time during COVID, in fact, more and more people have come forward to become peer counselors. And we now actually have added in modules where we are, talking to people about how can you help people when you're not actually with them. And you're not actually face to face with them. So we are taking peer counseling to our managers, to HR, and everybody. So the sensitization has become really high. And because of that, what is happening also is that referrals are happening, because we don't see everybody every day, but a manager is interacting with the team on a daily basis. And when they are being able to pick up those signs and actually call out and say that, we think that one of our people is not doing so well and we need help and support to support that person, so that's a growing trend that we are seeing, which is really fantastic. The level of empathy that is coming across from managers, from HRs, that is something that we are seeing as well. Where vulnerability is concerned, as I said, so important for leaders to know and understand the value of vulnerability. And we've put in a program for leadership, which is specifically for leadership, to understand themselves, to work with various coaches, so that they can actually talk to them, they can figure out what is it that they want to do, use them as a sounding board. So we have a huge, very strong coaching program at TCS, and especially for leadership, which really helps them to talk to somebody when they know that they can't talk to somebody within the organization as well. So that is going really, really well as well.
Yeah. Kalpana, any quick take on that, please? Kalpana, are you there?
Yeah.
Please.
Uh,
Please go ahead.
I will just take up the mental well-being first. We have something called self-managed team structure, because we are a mass industry. People come different language, different areas also. For every 10 worker, we have something called L1 leader. For every L1 leader team of 10, we have, for about 10 such teams, we have supervisors whom we call L2. And for every such floor, we have a L3 floor in charge, and then led by factory managers and industrial engineers and HRs. So this self-managed team structure gives us, to focus very well from the from the new employee. Amongst the 10, any small issue is there, they are able to escalate it. This is one such thing. And we have come out with some technological support also. We have made a kiosk. We initially started it for leave management, but now we have a kiosk where employee has to, it's a biometric enabled. She doesn't even have to press a number, based on which a pop-up screen will appear. Smiley faces will appear. She just has to indicate whether she's sad, happy, annoyed, whatever it is. 4 faces come. Whichever face she touches upon, immediately if she's sad or angry, a pop-up screen of leadership team comes. She has to just press the photos of any one of us whom she wants to talk. Immediately a message comes to the concerned person, and a copy is marked to the next in line whom we report to. I'm supposed to talk to the concerned employee, whoever gets the message, within 24 hours. If I fail, a trigger is given to my reporting authority, so that there is no chance of missing. Thereby, whatever issues they were, initially they used to say about their work, now a lot of mental, their personal, all these are coming up. This is a very good grievance escalation. We also have something transparent called Employee Speak, where people can come and talk. For leadership at ESCOM level, we have, we say empathy sharing day, where we talk to each other informally, they share. We also have coaches, personal coaches assigned, who talk to each other. And there are mentor-mentee, frameworks are also created. So we work in a transparent, cohesive, strategic leadership team. We have art of living classes, and we make, what you call, mandatorily they have to do, they have to do this art of living, so that they go through meditations. They have to do 10-minute meditation, has to be done. And for worker level also, we have about 10-minute ergonomics on the shop floor we do.
Yeah.
These are some of the best things that we are doing to tackle this. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's, it's really amazing to see that how the big organization support systems is doing. But I got a very interesting question from Kanika Malhotra, that, big organization can do a lot, but small organization, maybe the SMEs or maybe a small shop owner may not have access to all these things. So there is a lot of way forward, Kanika. I would like to say that, there are communities being built up on social media where, you can refer to, and there are a lot of awareness around I see there is a huge spurt in cognitive behavioral therapy, learning modules on the Coursera or MOOC or Udemy. It has really gone up. People have, and they have really offered it for very low price also, which was earlier like 15,000-16,000 rupees. Now it is offered at 400-500 rupees. So there is a lot of work. Even all the communities around it are really helping forward. Like if you see that what Arogya World is doing, I know about it, that they offer the awareness programs in a very beautiful and very simplistic way. So go and maybe talk to Madam Usha Chandar. She would be really happy to help and support. And we don't see the organization by size. It is a need where how can we help it out? So Kanika, I hope I have answered your question. what I see is there is a lot of way forward, like maybe Infosys, TCS, or any other big IT company can come with a artificial intelligence solution. It is so important sometimes to see that what holistic health can be. How can we do a huge, setup within our education or organizational system? Also maybe how can we develop the like-minded people and the communities around it, and the health and fitness, people have started doing, they can't go to the gym, but they can do, even I myself, I'm doing it on a Zoom, where we like-minded people are doing it on the Zoom, so that there is no ekla chalo re, because it just cannot happen all alone. So you need a lot of we are social beings, and we need these kind of support system. And there are a lot of healthy workplace practices, and there are so much of awareness around it. We should, I think new challenges are going to happen. If you have any of the questions to the panelists, please put it on the chat box like Kanika did, because I see that we have roughly 4 minutes to go to end this session. So if anybody else has got please any questions or a quick comment, if in the absence of the questions, if quick comment can come from our panelists.
You can also raise your hands and request for a option or a question as well.
Yeah, so at this moment, I'm not seeing any questions. So maybe a quick word, like how can we build the communities? I know that one of the very big social circle is there, in which I'm a part, like Aspire Circle, through which Dr. Suchin Bajaj, he was doing a lot of work, and he started communicating communicating on our group, that we need. Can you hear me? Yeah. So it is so much important, to see that how can we build that community. And I am adding so many student volunteers to this group, where they can have a small bit of module training, and then they can become the support system at the family level, maybe at the smaller level. But I believe that somewhere this beginning has to be there. So any one of the panelists, if you would like to say a quick word, please.
Sure. Can I go?
Yeah, please, Sangeeta. Yeah.
Sure. So yes, so community is, as you said, man is a social animal, and community is absolutely essential to create safety nets for ourselves, to create interest groups for ourselves. So those are, whether in our personal life or within our colleagues and within our teams, those are extremely important. In fact, I think, for example, like in, we have a question in our employee survey, our annual employee survey, which says, do you have a friend at work? Because that is very important, right? I mean, those are some of the things which lead to well-being of our people. So those are very, very important things. And creating like-minded clubs, whether it is a music club or a Toastmasters club, or a singing group or a music group or a dance group. In fact, talking about singing and this thing, yesterday when we were talking, Dr. Rajeshwari, I remember I mentioned that, we are also looking at new ways of engaging our people, because we want people to know that mental health is not a doomsday, serious, at the end of the world kind of a thing. So yes, counseling is very important, self-help very important, but how can we engage people in ways which is fun? And so we are doing a series on recreational therapy, where we are talking to people on different kinds of things, like animal assisted therapy, or art therapy, dance therapy, gardening, so those are some of the things. So I think it is important for us to take a view in which, sometimes when we have to try and literally sell something, it is time for us to look at this from so many different angles, and make sure that people can accept it. If one thing works for one person, another thing works for another person. So I think that is really important.
Yeah. So here I see a comment from Shiv Kumar, who says that he might have shifted from abroad, and do we have any opportunity to work as a cognitive therapist? Maybe if you are trained Yes, definitely. You just put it up anywhere on the social media, and I'm 100% sure you will have hundreds of people asking for your help. Because we have been doing this Facebook, WhatsApp group, maybe some kind of chat groups are there where people want to know that even registering yourself for Just Dial or something like that, where you say that you are a behavioral therapist if you are actually certified. Please mind it that it is very important to have a certification around it so that you do not advise something which is coming from the WhatsApp gyan, rather it is coming from the right source. It is very, very important. So Guru Prasad, how are we placed at this moment? Because I see that it is the clock 7.
Yeah, we are good, Rajeshwari. I don't see any questions at this hour. So
Yeah.
thank you all for taking out time and participating in this session. Personally, I sort of made out many notes in terms of what I could probably tell our leaders within my organization as to what we can best incorporate a few things, especially in terms of women well-being and on the mental front, especially from what Kalpana ji, Sangeeta, and Siddharth brought in. I personally gained a lot of insights here, and I hope our audience also did the same thing. I would also, at this juncture, convey our gratitude and thanks to Arogya World, which helped us with this esteemed panelists. Thank you, Arogya World, for helping us put this panel together and make this happen. Request you all to please comment and give your valuable feedback. The link is posted on the chat window at this point in time. We would look forward to your feedback so that we can make things better in this course of action. Although this has just started in India, NHRDN wants to make this a continuous process of making awareness of mental well-being a daily activity going forward. Thank you so much. Thanks all. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, my co-panelists. It was really wonderful interacting with Sangeeta, Siddharth, and Kalpana. Guru Prasad and Nisha, thank you for facilitating that. And Madam Usha Chandar from Arogya World, who have done really. Everyone has done their part and made this happen. So I really thank each one of you. Stay connected, stay blessed, stay healthy, stay fit is what my prayers for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.